What if I told you from speaking a single word out of this journal, you could change the properties of an object? That's SCP-3348. It's actually a journal containing a language called Kaejnithionian that is essentially just like magic. So this awesome picture is actually a thumbnail from the Zueljin video about SCP-3348. Now, normally I would just react to this video, but views have been a little down lately, so I wanted to try something different, so bear with me today. Now, the magic isn't necessarily the journal, it's the words that are in the journal, which come from the language called Kaejnithionian. Now, this journal was written by a guy named Mandred Motzer. Now, Mandred basically found discovered this language, or he thought he discovered the language. Later, he found out that there was other people that knew about this language, but essentially documenting it was forbidden. So he took note of the words and the translations. And the cool thing about this thing is that all of the words have powers, okay? Whether they're a verb, a noun, or an adjective, they have different anomalous properties, and all of these words are at least 6 syllables long. Now, they're indecipherable, and all of the words are redacted for obvious reasons, so you can't go around casting these spells or whatever they are. If you go down in the log, you'll see the redactions that are part of all of the words in the different examples that they provided for the test. So there's 3 different types of words that are affected or given effect when they're spoken in this 30-meter radius that apparently is the area of effect, okay? And there's some containment procedures around that, but for the most part, you got nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Now, what I found most interesting are the verbs and adjectives, but nouns are really cool too. There's an example of a noun below, but it's basically, when you say a noun, it's no longer to be able to be or perform the intended function, or attempting to use them can cause harm to the user in some cases. An example of the knife is a noun, and there was a length of rope and a knife put on the table, and a D-class was asked to cut the rope with the knife. Well, when he tried to, the knife edge was superheated and for a split second, and then when it cooled, it was dull. And actually, when he tried to cut for 5 minutes on the rope, the knife actually was so brittle that it just got destroyed. So it could not perform its function as a knife would be intended to do. That was the effect of that. Now, verbs, on the other hand, if a subject speaks a word that pertains to this verb, anyone or anything that tries to perform this verb will fail, okay? One of the examples are, they said fall, and they dropped a bowling ball, and the bowling ball did not fall. It just floated there. Now, 30 seconds later, it went downward at a terminal velocity. So the 30-second mark was over with. It carried on at its function, the fall verb, but until that happened, it could not fall. Now, adjectives are my favorite. Adjectives, entities exhibiting the respective trait will lose it. It doesn't say for how long or permanently, but I imagine it's permanent. And that's the image that you saw on the thumbnail with the apple. The apple was originally red, okay? And when they used the adjective red, everyone that observed the apple after the word was spoken said that the description of it was indescribable, like it was incomprehensible. They could not give you a description of what it looked like, and this was an example of what it may have looked like, which for us, this is shiny and purple, right? But it's the reality of people that were perceiving it at the time were trying to describe it, and that's what they came up with. So the fact that the object class is safe just means that it's not really difficult to contain. In fact, it's just in a combination lock in what they consider a safe class containment chamber. And it's a 5-character combination lock that needs to be used in order to open it. Now, to prevent the contents from being spoken outside the testing chamber, they actually have an amnestics room that kind of sprays anybody that would forget the combination as soon as they exit the perimeter, all right? So there's no accidental stuff. You wouldn't want to be accidentally said you can't be handsome, right? If you say handsome, one minute you're a good-looking male, the next minute nobody even wants to look at you anymore. Can you imagine saying hungry? Like, my adjective is hungry right now, but I'm no longer hungry. Would that mean that I would just never eat again? Or eat as a verb? Now I couldn't eat. Now it would only be 30 minutes or so that wouldn't be so bad, but you get where this is going. It's crazy. When this thing was found by Mandred Motzer, He got ostracized by some of his colleagues, he says, and being that this is related to the serpent's hand, based on what the video from the Vulcan said, the idea behind these people trying to restrict the element of knowledge is probably just due to the power that it contained. Now, the SCP Foundation found out about this naturally or is trying to find out about where the information leaked, but it all stems from the library. And if you go into this section right here, there's a letter addressed that he wrote to whomever finds this, and it entails what he's kind of thinking about the people that were trying to keep the information out. And he said that he's writing it from a dark corner of the library. Well, when you click on this, it brings you to the page of the serpent's hand and all of the respective articles that go along with this. So naturally, it makes for an interesting case study, and I'd love to hear some examples of what you thought would have been cool adjectives, verbs, or nouns to try, and some examples of how that would have gone. I always look forward to your comments, guys. Please leave one for me below and like the video if you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy this video, you should check this one out too.